I think it's time that we upgrade this to a better solution.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
So welcome to another episode of Wolf Ridge Woodworking. Today what we're going to do is we are going to upgrade our stock. Comes with a table saw. Some are better than others, but we're going to upgrade this. So I looked around a lot for different crosscut sleds, and I settled in on one from King's Fine Woodworking. I'll have a link in the description to both the plans that you can purchase from his website and also the YouTube channel for his where he built this sled, so that you can, you know, if I miss something, maybe you can get his or vice versa. But anyway, so I went ahead and I started this project off camera. I originally wasn't going to record it, but I figured, you know, I probably should record it because this is something that most woodworkers are going to need, and so I wanted to show you how I did mine in that journey that I take with it. So what I did was I started out with cutting three 3/4 inch plywood pieces that are 4 inches high by 30 inches wide. And I glued the two of them together and let it dry overnight. And then on the other one, I took one of those 4 inch pieces high and added a 3 1/4 inch high piece and glued them together. And what that's going to be for is this from Craig. It's going to sit up here and get screwed in, and a tape measure will go up here, and then a cut guide with a stop on it so that you can make repeatable cuts. I'm going to have a link to all of the parts that I use in this project in the description. So this is just one of the few that I'll use. So the next thing that I need to do is I need to take this piece, which is the back fence, over to the bandsaw and cut out a profile. I'm going to reposition the camera and get it overhead and show you kind of that profile that I'm going to have, and then we'll meet over at the bandsaw. So hopefully you can see on here where I have drawn the line here. I just this is about 2.5 inches here. It's really not marked on his plans, so I just went by kind of what I saw in the video and then kind of what looked right to me. So I drew the line here, and then I just took the cap off of an old squirt bottle and used it to draw the curves to round over the end piece and then round over this here. So we're going to go over to the bandsaw and we're going to get this cut out. All right, so now we've got it cut out, and we are going to attempt to smooth it out with our oscillating sander. I need to probably move some things down. All the lovely time of a small shop. So we're going to round these over, smooth it up, and we'll go on to the next step. So now I'm going to cut all the rest of the pieces. I won't bore you with all the dimensions. They'll be in the plans there. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all those pieces up, and then we'll be ready to do some glue up. Okay, so I got the pieces cut, and now we need to screw them together. I've got the one side clamped up. There is going to be a gap in between, so this piece is going to go like here. Then there's going to be a gap, and that's where the saw blade's going to ride, and it's wide enough to accommodate a dado set. So I don't have a dado set yet, but that's okay. I'm planning for the future, and I will have one eventually. So I've got it clamped up. I'm just going to start putting the screws in on each side. So now what we want to do is we want to cut a chamfer in the pieces that are going to go on top of that. So I'm double stacking the plywood, and that's going to create a channel for the sawdust to get in and not gum up and throw off your measurements. All right, so now we got all our pieces cut. We're going to glue them down and leave them to dry overnight. We're going to put some weight on them, and so let's get to gluing. All right, well, we'll leave this overnight, let it dry up, and we'll be back in the morning. It'll be instantaneous for you, but you get a preview of some of the wood that's going to be coming in some upcoming projects. So a little sneak preview. So I'll see you guys in a minute. The glue has dried overnight, so we are going to get started on assembling some of the accessories. So one of the things we want to do is attach this. So we need to drill some holes and attach it with screws. So I'm just going to, let's see, it should be around 30 inches. So maybe we'll come in an inch on each side. Trying to do this so you guys can see it too. Okay. Put one in the middle. And then one in the middle of each one of those. So that would be, like, there we go. Something like that. So now we're going to drill those holes out and put some screws in there. So what we need to do now is install our T-tracks. So they are going to go approximately something like that. It doesn't really matter. You can look at the plans and see where to put them, but I don't think it's as important. It's just about where you think you're going to hold them down. So I'm probably going to put mine somewhere around here. But in order for us to put a groove in here, we need to take these this front and back fence off in order to do that. All right, so I'm going to get a fence set up so that I can take my router and make the holes. I'm going to mark where I want the T-tracks to go and get that aligned up, and I'll be right back. I've got a fence set up to route this groove in here for this T-track. If you had a dado stack, which I don't, going to get one, you could just run this through there and be done in a whole lot quicker time. I guess I could run multiple passes through there and then take a chisel and go through there, but I'm just going to take several passes down with the router. I've got a 1/2 inch bit in here, so I've got it set up with an offset, so I'm going to take multiple passes. I've got it probably about like an 1/8 of an inch depth now, and I'm going to take several takes until I get it down till the 3/8 depth that I need. Move my fence over, reset it to an 1/8 of an inch, and then take the passes to get it. Again, it's going to take a little bit longer because I don't have the tools to do it. You could be done with this quicker with the dado stack, but you work with what you've got, and that's the most important thing. So let's get started. perfect fit. Alrighty. So now what we need to do is just go in and cut these on the miter saw and just clean up this edge. It a little bit of, not tear out, but there's thread. So I'm going to clean that up off camera, and I'll be back in a second to install these. We've got the front and back reattached. The next thing we need to do is we need to put on our miter bars. But before I do that, I want to take the times when I've got free access to the underside here to sand it down and before we put those on. So that's what I'm going to do now. I should have mentioned that was 150 grit sandpaper just to get a finish on it that it'll go through. Once we get the miter bars on, we're going to put a little bit of paste wax on there. So I've already tuned these miter bars up. I'll put links in the description. They've got a little set screw here that moves this seems like hard plastic in and out, and all it does is just allow it so that you can get a really tight connection, or not connection, but just really tight fit here so that it doesn't move around. So what we're going to also do is so that we're going to use a little bit of CA glue to get this to hold on to the sled so that we can take it off and then put our screws in. To raise it up, I'm just going to use a couple of pennies in here just to raise it up a bit so that we can put that in. We've got our miter bar set up, so we're going to apply some CA glue. I just got some medium CA glue, and then once I put the sled up here, I'm going to apply some activator to the wood to get that bond tight, and then we'll flip it over and put some screws in it. I've also brought the guide here up as a guide so that I can try to get it as square as possible for now. I'm going to fine tune it later. So I'm going to set up our gauge here, or our sled, and then I'm going to apply the activator. That should do it, and I'm going to try to get these even. Well, that was fast. All right, so note to self. It moved, so it's a little off here. I guess I'll wind up cutting that with my Dremel, because that activator, it did its job. So, all right, well, that's good. So let's get this thing flipped over and put our screws in. That's unfortunate, but what do you do? It did its job. The screw that we're going to put in is a little bit wider than the screw hole in the miter bar. So we need to use a countersinking bit to make that hole a little bit wider so that the screw will sit flush. Okay, there we go. Just has to be just below the surface. So I'm going to get this cleaned off, put some of these tools away, and then I am going to get some paste wax to put down on here so it slides a little bit easier. There we go. So we're going to, lost a little bit there. There we go. So we're going to turn this over. Yep, she goes pretty well. So, all right. The last thing that we need to do is we need to put our zero clearance plate in here. I messed up and didn't get the right screw for the top, this insert plate here. Like he did in the video. And that's okay because I only have one saw blade for now. So what I'm going to do is just use some 3/4 inch number 6 screws to hold it down. It should be fine. But what you'll need to do to make it more repeatable, or kind of be able to take these plates in and out, is the way that he did it on his is underneath the sled he put in some T-nuts and then countersunk the screw on top so that it stuck below, went below the surface and just screwed into that T-nut. So eventually I will wind up doing that, but if you're like me, maybe you only have one saw blade, you can just use some wood screws, but it still gives you the ability to change that out at a later time. So I've got a countersinking drill bit here. So what I'm going to do is drill 4 holes, put the screws in, and then we're almost there. That's going to wrap it up. Let me just explain a couple of things, accessories that I've added. I've got these Rockler hold downs that I've installed. Again, all the parts will be down in the description. One thing to note, I did not realize this beforehand, but these will not go in with the T-track installed. So off camera I had to take the T-track out, slide this T-nut in, and put the T-track back down. So when you do this, make sure that you put these hold downs down first. Otherwise, you're going to have to do like me and take these out and put them back in. But anyway, so they work great. So they will slide up in here out of your way when you're not using them. And it can hold down your piece that you're cutting and also your offcut. The other thing that I did was I added this stop. And the challenge is this stop doesn't go down far enough to have, like I say, a 1-inch board. So what I did was I just grabbed this scrap piece of wood and I put it here, used a couple of bolts, and I tapped the holes here. And I believe this is an M8 bolt that I used, just happened to be something that I had on hand and was pretty close to the same size as this here. This is going to wrap up the video for this crosscut sled. I hope you enjoyed watching me make some mistakes, and hopefully you won't repeat those mistakes. Again, you can take a look at my video. I'll link the video for King's Fine Woodworking to see how they did it. I did it a little different than he did, and it just I thought I was saving some steps, and I did, but on some other steps I had to do some other things over again. Again, definitely having a dado blade would have helped with the T-tracks. It was a little bit slower, but I still got it done, and that's the important thing with my router. It works great. It's something that I've been needing, and this will be used in an upcoming project, so stay tuned for that. No spoilers. And yeah, so leave me any comments down below if there's something that you have a question about. If if you see something maybe I'm doing that maybe what you would consider unsafe, please let me know. Again, still learning on this. I'm trying to show you how I go through this journey so that you can try to learn from this, avoid some of the mistakes that I made. Again, good tip on the T-track here with those hold downs. And, please share it with anybody that you think might enjoy the content. And if you're not already a subscriber, and this is the type of projects that you like, I really would encourage you to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can get notified when I upload new videos. So I think I'm going to, take a break now and use this in the next project. And as always, I wish you and your family a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.